And we come now to 1 hour 30 Universal Time. In the news at this hour, Lebanese officials say continuing attacks by Israeli airplanes killed at least 35 civilians. Reports say an Israeli air attack in eastern Lebanon killed at least 28 farm workers. Officials say most of the dead were Syrian Kurds. Israeli planes also bombed several villages in southern Lebanon. Lebanese officials say 7 people were killed in those attacks. 10 others were injured. The Israeli army says 3 Israeli soldiers died in heavy fighting at a village in southern Lebanon. Israeli officials say Hezbollah fired more than 100 rockets at northern Israel on Friday. 3 civilians were reported killed. France and the United States are moving closer to a deal on a United Nations resolution to end the fighting in Lebanon. UN Security Council President Nana Effa Appenteng said on Friday in New York that ambassadors of both countries have taken the lead in writing the document. But he says talks may continue until Monday. Differences between the United States and France have slowed progress on the resolution. France says a ceasefire should come before a political settlement and before an international force is sent to Lebanon. The United States wants peacekeeping troops deployed first. In Buenos Aires, a former police officer has been sentenced to 25 years in prison for human rights violations. The court sentenced Julio Simon for kidnapping José Poblete, Gertrudis Latzik, and their baby, Claudia, in 1978. In 2005, Argentina's Supreme Court removed laws that prevented military and police officials from being charged with human rights violations. Simon's sentence is the first passed since the High Court's decision. The crime took place during a period of military rule in Argentina from 1976 to 1983. A top Mexican election court is to hold a public hearing to discuss accusations of cheating in the presidential election held on July 2nd. The court's 7 judges will meet on Saturday to consider accusations made by lawyers for candidate Andrés Manuel López Obrador. Mr. López Obrador has called for a recount of all 41 million ballots. Officials from his party have said they expect a decision on the recount as early as Saturday. The election court has until September 6th to make an official ruling. Current voting results show that Mr. López Obrador lost the election to Felipe Calderón by a small number of votes. In Chile, workers at the world's largest copper mine have threatened to go on strike if their pay is not increased. The miners' union says workers will strike on Monday unless the Minera Escondida mine offers a new pay proposal. On Wednesday, the company offered to raise pay by 3% and give a one-time payment of $15,000. But the miners are seeking a 13% raise, with a payment of $30,000. The price of copper has increased by almost 400% since 2003. Minera Escondida is owned by the British-Australian company BHP Billiton. You are listening to the news in VOA Special English. An Israeli military strike in southern Gaza has killed at least 2 Palestinians. Several others were injured. The air attack took place early on Saturday morning in Rafah. Israel says its offensive in Gaza is meant to stop Palestinian rocket attacks on Israel. It also is trying to free a kidnapped Israeli soldier. On Friday, Palestinian medical workers said Israeli attacks killed 3 Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. More than 100,000 people have marched peacefully in Baghdad in support of Hezbollah fighters in Lebanon. Those marching were followers of Shiite Muslim clergyman Muqtada Sadr. In northern Iraq, police said at least 24 people were killed in violence on Friday. Police in Mosul said bomb attacks and fighting killed at least 9 people. Officials said at least 3 of those killed were police officers. The United States has placed restrictions on 7 foreign companies for selling military technology to Iran. State Department officials say the companies are from Cuba, India, North Korea, and Russia. Russia's foreign ministry said the restrictions are unacceptable. It called the restrictions an attempt to place foreign companies under American rules. The restrictions bar the United States government from buying goods or services from the companies or assisting them. It also bans sales of any military equipment, services, or technology to the companies. And the rebel group called the Lord's Resistance Army has declared a ceasefire with the Ugandan government. A representative of the group, Vincent Otti, announced the ceasefire on Friday. He said the group's leader, Joseph Kony, ordered it. Government officials say they will sign a ceasefire only as part of a final peace agreement. Negotiations between the 2 sides are to continue next week in Sudan. And so, briefly now, here again is the major news of this hour. Lebanese officials say continuing attacks by Israeli airplanes killed at least 35 civilians. France and the United States are moving closer to a deal on a United Nations resolution to end the fighting in Lebanon. And in Buenos Aires, a former police officer has been sentenced to 25 years in prison for human rights violations. So ends the news in VOA Special English.